Welcome back to the program. And right now in front of me, I got Pastor Sunday Adelaja, who is the senior pastor of the Embassy of God in Kiev in the Ukraine. And the church is actually the largest church in Europe with over 100,000 members. And I keep repeating it so that would actually impact you as a person, as a pastor or a Christian who has the hand of God upon their lives. The church has over 100,000 members ministering to over 7 million people on a daily basis. So you know what? We've been talking about his background, how his background helped him to go through all he's been through and what he is still going through. And you know what we're going to do now is talk about his grandmother who played the role of a mother in his life. And he wrote a book titled Ọlọ́run wà, which means that God is here. There is God. So he'll be explaining to us what led him to write the book, and then about the grandmother's life and how that has affected him today as a Christian. God bless you as you continue to watch. Welcome to the program again, sir. Right. We were talking about your grandmother towards the end of the last program, but we didn't have time to actually go deeper. But this time around, I just want to give you the opportunity to just explain to us, just briefly, living with her, how did it affect your life? What did you do? For instance, you were talking about even in those days, because of the hardship, there were times you were rude towards her and everything. But now, a lot of those things have changed.
Yes, I think this is a paradox because the most painful experience of my life is the death of my grandmother who raised me up, but also is the greatest blessing that has ever happened to me. That's a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
The greatest tragedy, my greatest pain, has become my greatest blessing. How could this be? How could it be the greatest pain and the greatest blessing at the same time? The reason is because when I was growing up with her in a very harsh condition, I was thinking, why is it that because we are the poorest by far family, things were so bad? How could we have everything a few years ago and now I couldn't even eat? I couldn't go play football with other people. I never did one assignment in my life because I never had a book. I never had a book to read, to do homework. The only way I studied was go to the classroom, sit down, and listen, and remember, and then give exams. 3 months later, 6 months later, 1 year later. I never had a book to carry out the homeworks. I never did one homework because I couldn't have. But apart from that, I was a young lad. I couldn't play with my friends. So all these things created a deep-seated pain in me. Pain that all my friends were calling me names. Pain that I had to carry all this firewood and trek barefooted. Pain from the sun and the sweat of the scorch of the sun. Pain from trekking kilometers to school every day barefooted, and the scorch of the soil, the heat of the soil, and the heat on my head. Then after school, pain of going to the bush, collect the firewood, then in the evening going to the market to sell it. Pain that there was no life for me. My life was just revolving around this, just to survive. So this pain built up a deeply seated anger and frustration in me that I was not like any other person. We were not like any other person, and our family was just being despised. So I was angry. So all my anger, I could only rent them or vent them on one person, the only person that was around me. That was my grandmother. So I was thinking she was why couldn't she fix it? Why did I come to this family? Why is it that this is the destiny or the fate that I had to confront as a young baby? So I was such a rude and disobedient child. Nobody will ever think anything good will come out of me. I was the biggest hooligan in the whole city. In the sense, you cannot believe it, because, for example, when she beats me and she punishes me, I will go into her wardrobe, take kerosene, and just splash kerosene in the whole wardrobe and set it on fire. Nobody would believe that I would do something like that. I'm totally the opposite now. That anger inside me, because I could not beat her. I was so small. I was so stubborn. In fact, my sister in that Olorunwa book, she wrote, "Sunday, you are so stubborn. You are the stubborn of the stubborn. You are the stubbornness of the stubborn. Nobody had seen anybody as stubborn in my life. I mean, like me. I'm talking to parents now and grandparents that have children that are totally rude and totally disobedient, and that will never pay any respect to you, and are doing everything just the opposite of what you've taught them. I was worse. Imagine the worst of your own child, or the worst behavior of your kid or your grandchild. I was worse. This Pastor Sunday that you are seeing now, I used to be worse. And I got better, not because of deliverance or casting off of demons. And it was not demon. It was just the pain that I was experiencing inside. But I didn't know as well. So it's just now analyzing it. So I grew up, for example, one day, after she punished me, I went and discovered a place where she had put all her jewelries and earrings and all the jewelries. She had a box for it. So I went and took all that box and went to the bush, dug a hole, and buried the whole thing there. And up to now, I couldn't find the place where I buried it.
That's serious.
So they would beat me. Everybody would beat me and scold me and rebuke me. I could, at 12 years old, 9 years old, 6 years old, no, from 8 years old, 9 years old, I was all like this. They would beat me like this. I would run away from home, and for 3 days, they would not know where I was. I would go and sleep somewhere. So I was a rascal, disobedient, but there was an in-seated anger in me. Maybe, of course, definitely, I'm sure there will be some satanic attack and all that connected with that. But it was this anger, because I'm just saying this just for people to know there is no hopeless child. There is no hopeless child. So, but my brother, that was one of my brothers, would just they will keep on beating me and caning me and think, we will beat this thing out of you. But it didn't change anything. So that was how she knew me. That is the Sunday she remembered. Even though I was doing all this selling, everything, but I was doing it out of rebellion. I was still doing it in anger, because I knew if I didn't do it, I was going to be punished, or I was not going to eat, I was not going to be able to go to school, but I was still stubborn. But inside, when I'm back in my senses, I will say, because I will see her struggling even more than me. I will see her paying even greater price. I will see her not even taking any rest at all. At least I was going to school, but she was always in the bush or in the trees and in the pub and all these things. So I would say, my God, I must compensate this woman. I must make it in life to be able to thank this woman. She's my hero. I owe my life to her. So each time I will, because I only did that when I got annoyed or when I was scolded, when I was beaten. So, but most of the time I was obedient. But still, I would tell her that, I will grow up, because she was always telling me, this is all because of you. All your brothers are now in town. They are grown-ups and they could fence for themselves. But it's because of you. You are the one that is left in the village. That I need to struggle for you to at least become something. I need to make sure that I take you through high school at least. You must be able to do something. At least I've been able to, make your people come out, your brothers come out of primary and high school. You need to be able to. So it's all for you. Please, it's all for you. Think of the house you are coming from. Think of your story. So I was always saying, hey, this woman so much loves me. She's suffering like this. She could leave. She doesn't go to school. She didn't buy my pen, my book, buy this, but she's doing it for me. So I was saying, I'm going to repay her, even though she's thinking I'm stubborn now. But I know I will become somebody one day. And I will grow up, and I will really, really pay her back. I will really honor her. I will take her abroad. I will make her to see Europe. I will go. I didn't know where this idea came to me that I was going to travel abroad one day and I was going to become somebody. And when I become somebody, she is going to be the happiest grandma. My mother, I never call her grandma when she was alive. My mother, she was going to be the happiest mother alive. So in the midst of this, she went to the hospital one day. Then she told me, take care of home. You've been taught how to make pap, this corn custard. That is going to be your business, and it's going to be your way of survival. You've got to continue to go to school. Go to the farm for the corn, and maintain the farm, and maintain the business. No, I will not be around anymore. I don't know how long I will go to this hospital for, but you've been taught how to sustain your life. You remember how to fetch the firewood. You know all the contacts. I was 15. So he said, go and talk to the chief of the village, the king of the village. Let them give you more farmland. So I got 3 farmlands that I was cultivating all by myself at 15 years old. Planting the cassava that I needed for my food, and planting the corn that I needed for my business. And then going as well to do, the fetching of the firewood. So she was lying there in the hospital. Then they discovered that she was having stomach cancer. That was she never came back to my village again. She never came back home. When I was 16, I was 15 when I began to live alone. That was when I was alone now. Nobody needed to wake me up to go to school in the morning. That is 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Go and fetch your firewood. Go to the market. Nobody needed to tell me that anymore. Nobody needed to tell me to go and make my pap. Nobody needed to tell me to go and hug the pap anymore. Nobody needed to tell me to go and do anything. I needed to go and find the firewood. I needed to go and fetch for it. I needed to go and look for the farmers. I needed to go and... Then I discovered that this woman was doing all this. I didn't know. Then I needed to go to school. I needed to wash my clothes myself. I needed to do everything. Then I said, God, don't let her die. Don't let her die. Please don't let her die. Let her survive this. Let her come back. I will never be rude to her again. I will never be disobedient again. So that absence brought maturity to me, because she was doing most of the work. But now I had to do everything. I became grown up all overnight. Nobody, I said I would never be rebellious again. That was my deliverance. No demon cast out of me. No pastor prayed for me. No evil spirit. Because just realizing that everything was gone now. Then when she died, I said, no, if I would not have an opportunity to thank her back, I would rather die. Because she shouldn't take the memory of who I was to the grave with her. She must see me now. This 1 year that she was not here, I've tried to be my best, and I've tried to be the kind of person she had taught me to become. Now I have been a perfect son, and she didn't get an opportunity to see it. But also, I will become better. I will grow up. I will go to study. I will make it in life. I will, compensate for all the suffering that she had gone through, and I will make sure that I, show my gratitude to her. If I don't get opportunity to get her back to life, I would rather die with her. Let me just die with her, because I must thank her back. I cannot imagine that I will not be able to thank her back. I cannot just imagine it. Wow. But I couldn't return her back to life, and I couldn't say thank you to her. Then I made up my mind, since I couldn't do it to the most important person in my life, I would never miss such an opportunity again in my life. If I had an opportunity to do good to anybody from now, and of any opportunity to do good, I would never have a bodyguard. I didn't know about bodyguard. I would never have a restriction. I would never say somebody is poor. I would never say somebody is inferior. If I ever become anybody, I will never miss another opportunity to give them what they needed. Because I'm up till now, I'm always afraid. Maybe I'm the last point of call for that person. Yeah. Maybe it's the last opportunity. Maybe that person will never have another chance. And I never had another chance. I don't want any other person to miss his last chance because of my negligence.
Wow. That is serious.
That's why I wrote that book, Olorunwa. And it means the name she called me, that there is God. And I'm now living to live that name out. And I'm a witness and I'm and a voice to the fact that there is God. There is God today.
Wow. That is serious.
So it's my greatest tragedy. Up to now, I'm reliving it. I couldn't say thank you to my mother. Yeah. And up to now, it is what made me to who I am. It's my greatest blessing. It changed me drastically to become serious and focused and to value what is important in life. So from the age of 15, I've become serious and focused because I value what I lost. That made me, if I had not lost her, I wouldn't have become so serious. Maybe it would have happened later in life, but I would have lost the opportunity. I would have been able to study. Because before then, I was just an average student. I was not studying, I was angry, I was just bitter. But when she died, I knew I needed to make it in life. I must make it in life. When I was the only one person left, I knew I was going to remain in that village all my life. So I knew I must do it for her. I must become the best for her. I must become somebody. And I must make sure that her dream for me comes to pass.
Wow.
So it's the greatest tragedy, the fact that I couldn't say thank you to her. But it's also the greatest blessing that her death made me who I am. Became more serious, more focused, more dedicated. Then secondly, her death is now making me to become more humanly to other people. That I should not pass through anybody without doing the good that I have the chance and opportunity to do to them. And that I should not miss an opportunity to do good to a human being. And I should not miss an opportunity to express my gratitude to anybody that I owe it to.
Wow. God bless you, sir. God bless you. Because I was saying before that your lifestyle, your what you encountered, mirrors what I went through. Because when my father died, all I had left was just my mother. And my mom wasn't working. Then all of a sudden, she had to go work to look after 10 children. I was still a small boy then. And I remember she said something, and that statement still haunts me till today. She said, even if I have to wear rags, I would make sure that you people are successful in life, that I look after you all through the system, the educational system. I'll make sure. And she was a nurse. She was a nurse.
For 10 kids.
Yes, it was hard. It was hard. We went through hard times. Hard times where, as a nurse, you're not expected to practice at home. But because people in the area couldn't afford to go to private hospitals, and knowing that she's a nurse, they come to her for treatment. So she would give a prescription of what to go and buy, the injection to go and buy, those little capsules. So when they bring them over, she'll inject them, and she'll charge next to nothing. Some people should just say they can go because they can't afford it, just to keep them alive. And on one occasion, the police came to raid the house because some jealous person reported her to the police, and the police took her away.
Are you serious?
And the police, when they got on the way to the station, the police officer said, after hearing what she was saying, that her husband died, she's got these children, and these people that come to her are poor people. They can't even afford the hospital. Then the police officer said, he said, no, I can't take you to the station. He said, I'll let you go. He said, but please, be careful who you befriend, the kind of people you have around you. He said, because I'll be mad to take you to the station, because you're helping the people.
So you could absolutely relate to my story.
I could relate to your story. And at the back of my mind, I was saying, well, I'm going to study hard. When I'm successful,
Are you serious?
Yes. I'll build a house. I'll do wonderful things for her. But unfortunately, it was not to be. She passed away.
So you didn't just lose your dad, you also lost your mom.
That's right. So my mom's one was the most painful one because she's worked all her life just to keep us alive. So we were just on the verge that every one of us, we are now okay, we're now successful. But this is a time for us to pay her back, but she's nowhere to be found. So that's why, just like you, when I meet people, I give my phone number off on the TV, and people will call me 2 o'clock in the night and everything.
So
when
your story is what made you.
That's right.
So the secrets of your success, the secrets of your virtues, of who you are, is embedded in your story.
That's what it is. That's why, just like you, when I meet people, I just give them a hug because I don't know. That might be the last time. When I meet them, I want to be a blessing to them because that might be the last time. And that's the mentality. That's the mentality. That's why every time I see anybody, no matter who they are, I give them a hug. Even if I meet them for the first time, I want them to remember me for that hug.
Yes.
And that's how I just run my life.
You're just telling my story now.
That's why I understand where you're coming from. It's interesting. But you know what? We're going to have the opportunity to talk about that particular book, Olorunwa. Time has really gone. But when we're going to because I just believe that this needs to minister to a lot of people out there. And there are people who are in our own same position who have gone through the same thing. It will bless them.
Wow.
I want to thank God for your life, sir.
Thank you.
And God bless you richly for everything you're doing and for the encouragement. God bless you. You know what? On that note, we have to end this particular program, but there's a lot more to come. You haven't seen anything yet, because this will give you an insight into Pastor Sunday, his ministry, who he is. There's a lot more heavy stuff to come that will encourage you, that will bless you, that will make you a life transformer or a reformer in your own generation. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back your way very, very soon. Bye for now.